I'm Kevin Rinke, and I'd like to welcome you to Beyond the Echo. I ran for governor in Michigan. After losing that election, my desire to look at issues that are important to the state or the country grew. There is so much static. There are so many opinions. Our news stations have gotten to the point where we don't know what news is anymore. Where do you go to get real facts? This is about real perspective for you. Beyond the Echo will cut through all the smoke, all the opinions. It's not about Republicans. It's not about Democrats. It's about the issues and what are real. Hey, everybody. It's Kevin Rinke, and this is another episode of Beyond the Echo. I'm really excited today. I have Kirk Gibson, the Kirk Gibson, Michigan State University Kirk Gibson, Detroit Tiger Kirk Gibson, LA Dodger Kirk Gibson, Mr. Clutch, my hunting buddy, Kirk Gibson, with us today. And how you doing, Gibby?
Well, I'm glad that you pointed out where I've been. Now what, you know? It's
well, we're going to talk today about where you're going.
Yeah, I'll be happy to do so.
Good.
Been a lot of wisdom along the way, so you try and pick things up and spread the dust.
Yep. Today's focus, we're going to talk about something that is personal to you, Parkinson's disease. And the Kirk Gibson Foundation and what you are doing, which for me, as a friend, makes me proud of you. Because typical in your athletic career, you always wanted the ball. You wanted to be in the clutch situation. You wanted to fight and you wanted to lead. And you get
I didn't want Parkinson's.
You didn't want Parkinson's, but you know what?
And neither does anybody else that has it.
Absolutely. But now that you've got it, instead of being a victim, you're cutting edge. I mean, the conversations we've had about the research you've done, how you're approaching this disease is compelling. And I think that it's typical of who Kirk Gibson is as a person.
Well, trying to give back some of the great things that have happened along the way in my 67 years.
You're that old?
Yeah.
That's old, man.
I know I look a lot younger. But, Sparky Anderson told us when he came to the Tigers, we were all a young group of kids coming together. He said, we're going to win a World Series, but if you don't give back after you do it, and if anybody cares who gets the credit, it's not worth it. So, you feel when you get to accomplish things, it makes you feel good. It makes you feel better when others feel good too.
Absolutely.
When I was the MVP, we had a bunch of media there talking about me, and it sucked. When we had the World Series parades in Detroit and Los Angeles, that's a fun party. When you can spread it, that's what we're trying to do. So many people who find out they have Parkinson's hide it for as long as they can. And there's many reasons for that, some right, some wrong. But you need to fight it, and you can help so many others, is my feeling, by coming out. You're not going to hide the disease for very long. Eventually, people are going to understand behavioral changes, trouble holding your body movements to something that looks normal. And that's why as soon as I knew, I came out and said what I had and vowed to try and take Parkinson's down or figure out how to deal with it and to realize that there's quality of life regardless.
Sure.
And the funnest thing about those things I accomplished in baseball or football in college was the culture of which a group of young men and women, people from all different places in the world, come together for a common goal, and the ride is a riot.
Absolutely.
And, when we go out to North Dakota, that culture of locker room, that culture of community, of family, of friends, because it's all right there. There's humor in it.
For those folks that are watching the show, when Kirk refers to North Dakota, we have a little pheasant hunting group that we go out with, and Gibby might be one of the best shots I've ever seen in my life.
What day was that?
Oh, come on now. He does not miss. Kirk loves to have the bird go up in front of one of his buddies, and he helps them shoot that bird.
Well,
often.
I gave you a first shot. You know what? Realistically, I'm usually a pretty good shot early, but as I get fatigued, you ever watch? You probably watch the Olympics where they cross country skiing and they have to stop and shoot.
Yeah,
and it's hard shooting because your body fatigues and it's hard to hold steadier, and that's kind of how I find pheasant hunting, trying to keep up with all you rabbits. As I get a little fatigued and I start missing, and then I try to figure things out, just like the rest of us.
Well, those chickens are running around. The dogs are running around after them, and we call pheasants chickens. And we do a lot of walking.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's part of it. The exercise factor is awesome.
The camaraderie is great. The laughs.
Yeah, and you just hope that everybody comes out of there safe. You try and use good resource management principles. We take ours. We always clean them. We take kids out there, a group of kids, the young kids. We teach them how it's done, how to handle their firearm properly.
Yeah, we've participated. We've been going to North Dakota now for, God, I think 14 years, and we met some friends, and Kirk and Pat Verbeek and some other folks have participated in philanthropic events for youth and education out there, and the golf tournament the CAS puts on. And
they had the Babe Ruth World Series out there every couple of years. I went out there for that as well and was a keynote speaker.
Yep.
It's like I said earlier, it's all about giving back, right? From my mentor, Sparky and Dale Rogers and Tommy Lasorda, these guys all. It's no fun just holding it in. It's fun to watch people react to things that you can fill them in for and prepare, so they can put themselves in a position to succeed. You know,
to help people along.
I felt so many times in baseball, and you have this thing in your mind that wants you to give in, but you just can't do it. Like if you were to ask me, there's some happy moments in all of our lives, and you can remember them, but remember how the powerful part is remember how it made you feel. Because when you're trying to figure things out somewhere down the road, it's not about the mechanics of it. It's about that feeling. Because if you have the confidence to do it and you do it uninhibitedly, it works out. And
I got to ask you, Gibby, mindset. So let's take some great moments. And you've had some classic moments with the Detroit Tigers and the roar of '84 in the World Series and the LA Dodgers. And I got to ask you, you got a bum knee. This is the Dodgers in the World Series. You got a bum knee. You're not playing. You're on the bench, and it's clutch time. And Tommy Lasorda needs a pinch hitter. And I remember watching you walk up to the plate, and I'm thinking, my God, he needed a wheelchair to wheel him up there. You know, you were torn up pretty bad. And you step in, and I think it was Eckersley, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And hit one of the greatest home runs maybe in the history of baseball.
That's why you play. That's why you do it.
What were you thinking as you were walking to the plate?
I was thinking I was going to get the job done.
Were you trying to hit a home run, or were you just trying to get a hit?
I entered the game as a number 9 hitter. I was just trying to keep the line moving on. It's like I wasn't going to strike out. I was going to put the bat on the ball.
Yeah.
So I just hoped that I could see enough pitches where he'd hang something. And we had a scouting report, what he did in the 3-2 count. And I got to a 3-2 count. He threw me a hanging slider, a backdoor slider. And it went out, and I just remember seeing all the taillights in right field. All the people that were leaving the game were listening on the radio.
They thought it was over.
Yeah, and when the ball went up in the air, everybody hit their brake lights like, Just think you're stopping in the parking lot. You aren't going to make your way in there, but they listen to the reaction. But I hit that, and it ended that game. It was game 1 of the World Series, but my teammates took it home from there.
Absolutely.
And that was really cool.
Just talking to you about it, it's funny because, like most people in America, I love baseball. I love football. I was fortunate that you came from my alma mater, Michigan State University, and I played the same position that you played in football, not nearly as well. You were a rock star, All-American. I was a blocking dummy. But
reality, I was a nobody when I went to Michigan State. I was one of the last guys offered a scholarship because many others declined. And when they released the list of 20-some incoming freshmen, I was the last guy, and it said Kirk Gibson. And I remember Curtis Griffin was All-State. He was from Brother Rice. Parade All-American, Eugene Birdie, St. Louis, Illinois.
Yep.
Parade All-American, All-State. They were all world. And then
what was Eddie Smith, your quarterback?
Eddie Smith, he was...
Where did he come from?
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh.
But these guys, you look at it, and this is who you're going to go compete against. These are the guys you're going to go push and make better, and while you're making yourself better. And I knew that when I showed up the first day, I'd be in the best condition. I was going to win every race we ran. And I figured I'd make it to scout team because you're a freshman. You play against the number 1D. And I had a plan for that too. So when we ran the first day, we were running called power. There's power runs where there's 4 groups, 1 group in each corner of the end zones, and 2 groups would run, and the other 2 would do calisthenics, push-ups, leg lifts, whatever. So it'd be 2 groups, then 2 groups,
right?
And we had to run 8 of them the first day, and I kind of jumped out there, and Charlie Baggett was our quarterback. He said, "Hey, Rook, you want to slow down? We got to do 8 of these." I said, "No problem." Well, 2 days later, he told me to stop because I was showing him up, and they tried to set up a blockade, and I just busted through it and said, "Bye."
Jimmy, would you characterize yourself as competitive?
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, and
play
then
ping pong with this guy, I got to tell you.
Well, so we settled that. I told him, "I'm going to be your starting flanker against Ohio State." Then when we got the scout team, they had a guy named Tommy Graves. He was a badass.
Yep.
And I had to crack back on him. He didn't know I was coming. Nobody messed with Graves. Little did I know. And I smashed him, and it was kind of quiet. And then I went back to run the next play, and they held up the same play. And I peeked out of the corner of my eyes, and Graves was looking at me going, "Bring it," which I did, and he brought it too, and he smashed me. But I got up, and the next morning on the depth chart, I was listed number 1.
Yeah.
And I started my first game there, and 3 years from that, I had a great year. Denny Stoltz got let go. His team got put on probation. They brought in Darryl Rogers, who was a passing guy.
He was a guru at the time.
Yeah, and I had 3 great years. And Darryl Rogers says, after my 3rd year, "Didn't you used to play baseball?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Go out for baseball." I said, "I don't want to go out for baseball. We got spring football." He goes, "No, you're okay in football." He goes, I want you to have a better chance of elevating your draft status for the NFL next year. You want to play football?" I said, "Yeah." "Go play baseball." It's kind of how he talked. And so,
that would be rare today. I mean, these coaches want kids to focus on a single sport from the time they're 8 years old, for God's sakes.
Yeah. Well,
I never knew that story. That's really cool that Darryl did that.
10 games into baseball, spring ball, I felt like I wanted to quit because it was pretty tough. My baseball coach, Danny Litweiler, sat down, said, "I'm going to give you 10 reasons why you don't want to quit." And the number 1 reason was to see what you do today, give it a chance. and I hit 2 home runs that day. And then a week later, a lot of scouts in the stands, and about a month later, I was drafted, and I was going to play professional baseball. I mean, people, keep your options open. You have no idea what's there. And the way I phrase it is, everybody has a chance to fail. They should be afforded that chance.
Sure.
Because I'm not smart enough to know at that time that could play baseball, and neither were they. But they gave me a chance to fail to see how I reacted, see how much better it made me or could make me. And I mean, I love football. And
Were you drafted in the NFL as well?
I was drafted after I was already signed in baseball.
Who drafted you?
St. Louis.
St. Louis did.
Yeah. But
Jimmy Hart
yeah,
would have been your QB.
I can't remember who they had back then, but this journey we're all on, it's fun. There's good stuff there, man. Pay attention and go after it. You never know.
Was it a tough decision to
It
pick
was very
baseball
tough
over
because
football?
I was better in football than I was in baseball, and I liked football because of the kind of game it was. I liked the contact, and I felt I was 6'3", ran a 4.2 40. I mean, I had pretty good tools for what I was doing.
Yeah.
And it was actually easier to be a football player than it was a baseball player initially. But I played 17 years in baseball and won 2 world championships. Met endless people that supported me and made me who I am.
Did you start out as a right fielder in baseball?
No, I started out really as a center fielder and a left fielder. They moved me to right field because I had my arm was, we did these bench presses and all these exercises. I kind of blew my arm out when I started playing baseball, and it wasn't very good. Plus, I needed to learn how to hit the cutoff man. So Sparky moved me to right field because it was only 325 feet down the line. He felt the throws would be shorter if he put me over there, and it was a very good move.
Well, and you got to work with a guy that's
Mr.
pretty
Kaline.
famous, Al Kaline.
K-Line 101.
Yeah.
Kicked me out after that.
He take you right under his arm?
He did. Al was, I grew up watching Al Kaline in the green seats, going to bat day at Tiger Stadium. And it was a real honor every day. But, Kaline was, I wouldn't call him like behind the scenes. He was very honest. He kicked me in the ass quite a few times. He made comments to me. He didn't take it easy on me, and he helped.
Because he cared about you. Getting kicked
He cared
in the
about
ass
me,
is a good thing.
and he cared about the game.
Yeah.
Like, Sparky's favorite, where's Babe Ruth? I said, well, he's not. He passed away. He said, right, the game went on. When I leave, it goes on. When you leave, it goes on. They wanted you to have this professionalism and this need and want to make the game better for those who follow behind you.
What are you seeing out of athletes in baseball today? Because you're still a commentator for the Tigers. Their attitudes towards the game. Is baseball still evolving? Is it improving? What are your thoughts?
It's a great game. Yeah.
It's the greatest game.
I think it is. And I think, you got to watch yourself by ridiculing or disagreeing with a new methodology. People are smart. It's a different way of looking at the game. The game is getting better. It's getting younger. They want it to be younger. It's more athletic. I think that the stewards of the game will always make sure that we make smart decisions so it can remain what it is today. Or
it's funny because you were 6'3". When you look at the Tigers today, you've got a lot of guys that are 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", 6'6". I mean, they are lean, tall, lanky guys. And I think AJ's doing a great job.
He is. He's those guys, again, they're doing something with 2 regular starters, and then they go with an opener the other 3 or 4 days with a bulk relief guy coming behind then. Now, those are things you didn't even hear about 5 years ago. But the Tampa did it in the playoffs years ago. However, we're doing it now this year, 4 out of 6 days.
Yeah.
And it's a great opportunity for the young kids to get some innings in. And AJ Hinch manages his pieces against your pieces, and he's increasing the odds that you're going to come out on top.
Do you like baseball more today now that you're looking at it?
No, because I'm not playing. I mean, it's so much fun. Such a great game. The whole scene, the travel, the camaraderie, the challenge that you got to go up against, dealing with the umpires. You learn so much in that game, man. It's amazing.
How do you manage the fatigue? Because you were playing every day. 162 games, 160
Yeah, I played
games.
158. It's the most I played. How do you manage it? You train yourself for it. You control your mind. You know, I mean, if you're driving a car and you're going around a curve, you're going too fast, you start spinning out. What do? You
got it correct.
Yeah, I mean, you let your foot off the gas and you brake a little bit. And, you know, you learn how to manage what you need for the output that you're going to exert.
I was amazed. I was talking one time with Chris Chelios, and
He used to ride a bike for an hour after every game.
after every game, not only did he ride a bike for an hour, but he would put it in the sauna and ride a bike for an hour after every single game. I mean,
That's
condition.
why he played so long.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, you can visualize anything you want to do. And
What was your routine?
my routine? Oh, we got that much time. Well, you know, you have exercise routines, you have mental routines, you have physical routines, and what you do is you start doing them all. Like you want to have success. So, like if I said, "Hey, Kevin, you know, could you make your bed in your room?" You say, "Sure, it's easy," and you go do it. That seems really trivial. It is trivial, but you know what? You succeeded. And you store every little success that you have.
You build on them.
Yeah. And then, you know, the tasks get harder and harder and harder. And then you learn how to control what you say to yourself. You want the good to get in, and you keep the bad out. You know, I strike out, bases loaded. I can walk back and tell myself that I stink. Or I can say, gee, that's not like you. You usually perform better in those situations. And then follow up with the feeling of when you did it. The feeling, you imprint that, and that imprints the thought. And when you do that, you write affirmations. You learn how to affirm things. An affirmation is something that you write as if it hasn't happened, but as if it already just happened. So you would write it in that fashion, and then you follow it up with the positive enforcement of how you feel when you succeed, and this stuff just starts happening.
Huh.
And you overcome much smoother.
So, how long after you were diagnosed with Parkinson's did you create the Kirk Gibson Foundation?
The foundation was already open. I was doing other things. I sold some of my memorabilia, and I had a foundation that was funding scholarships for 2 students at Clarkston High and 2 students at Waterford-Kettering High. And when I had Parkinson's, I realized my first call was the Michael J. Fox Foundation, because they're the biggest leader with Parkinson's disease and finding a cure. And I just got into it, and remembering the old Sparkies and everybody saying, you got to give back, you got to give back. We split the private foundation off, and that still gives out scholarships. And we created the public Kirk Gibson Foundation, Kirk and Joanne Gibson Foundation. We started going to work, and we tried to determine what it is that, what do we do? What do we do best? And what our mission statement says, and you can go look online at kirkgibsonfoundation.org. It basically says we stand to help people understand there's quality of life and that we're actively pursuing activity-based exercises, movements,
Therapies.
therapies for you to do. Movement matters because you lose the dopamine is what regulates your movements, it coordinates your movements. When you have Parkinson's, there's a philosophy that there's a protein called alpha-synuclein that attacks your neurons in this substantial nigra part of your mind. This is deep. And it basically kills the neurons. So, I mean,
And that restricts the dopamine that your body generates?
Yeah, because less neurons, less dopamine.
Right.
The neurons make the dopamine and distribute it.
Well, so many people, when they face a challenge like that, sit down on the couch and they crumble. And I think that you continue to amaze me. You know, if we're not bird hunting, you're golfing, you're walking, you're doing baseball games, you're doing events.
Because it feels good to move.
Absolutely.
And if you sit and if you don't move, if you don't fight back, I mean, if you and I get in the boxing ring right now and we put the gloves on, if I don't swing back, you're going to get me.
Yeah.
Parkinson's the same way. You gotta, you learn how to live with it. You learn how to help others help you live with it as well, and you learn what works for you. What works for Kirk Gibson may not work for you, but I'll be happy to talk to you because it's a mental challenge.
Sure.
And I'll help you mentally, physically, in any way I can. And if you know somebody, you get a hold of me through the foundation, and we'll talk.
You've got some pretty big goals that you are working on right now with the foundation to create almost like a Parkinson
Wellness
center.
Right.
Tell us about that a little bit, would you?
Well, I've been just about wherever I travel. I go and see if there's anybody who provides services for people with Parkinson's. There's about 10 million people in the world that have it. It's one of the fastest growing neurological diseases there is. It's right up there with, I mean, it needs attention.
Absolutely.
And again, having been a team-oriented guy my whole life, I like to attack things as I did playing sports and being in life. And I feel
your vision. This is nowhere else is there a place like this for Parkinson's.
Not probably is like I'm thinking of the environment inside. Like when I went in to do my therapy when I was diagnosed with Parkinson's, it was a medical building and I don't like that feel.
It's for sick people.
Yeah, I would rather have more nature around. I'd rather you walk by a picture of a bald eagle or a badger, or we mount some of our heads.
Sure.
And I want it to be a place where people communicate and are honest with each other. I want to have a room. It's called the Rock Room. It's a music room. I had one when I was the manager at the Diamondbacks. We had mics and amps and guitars and drums, and anybody who wanted to learn how to play or already knew how to play, they'd go in there and mess around, between batting practice and then all of a sudden people who come into town to put on shows, they wanted to come there, and it's just a place to take your mind from where sometimes you don't want it to go.
To be normal again.
Yeah, you gotta, when I talk about fighting back, like you gotta do things because it does occupy, and the movements. I mean, if you don't move, you're gonna get fatigued, and atrophy.
Just
That's-
accelerates all of
It's not a way to live. But
the symptoms. Yeah.
the facility is strategically going to be placed where that we can get the most people who have Parkinson's within 25, 30 minutes, which we feel there's about 8,000 people within that range. And
Where's the location going to be, Kirk?
well, it's going to be somewhere around Northwestern Highway and Middle Belt.
Okay.
But we have to fund it. When you get diagnosed by your doctor, your insurance will pay for 3 or 4 weeks of therapy. Then you're on your own. This will be what we're going to raise the money and fund it. It'll be free, and you come in there and get right and help us help others that follow you. It's like the responsibility that I felt I had in baseball. I feel like I have it in the Parkinson's community as well, and it should be open within a year, and I only have to raise $27 million. So
Is that it?
that's it.
That's it.
That's a lofty, but it's going to happen.
I'm sure it will because I know you. And,
Well, it's not just me. Since I've had Parkinson's and told people that I have Parkinson's, the amount of volunteers, people come in and volunteer their time is incredible. And that's why it's not because of Kirk Gibson. It's because the people that live in this wonderful country that come out of the woodwork when people are in need. And I'm just part of that and proud to be so.
Well, normally I wouldn't do this. I've donated to your foundation before, and I do it for two reasons. One, because the vision that you have laid out is so compelling to me. And two, because you're my buddy, and I feel blessed that I can give back and help. So you accept donations from everyday people, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. And they go to the Kirk Gibson Foundation to make donations?
Kirk and Joanne Gibson Foundation.org, and it says donate on there.
Got it.
And, put your information in. We'll call you, and we'll set up meetings and let you understand totally what it is that our goals are and where the funds may be used. But there's so many.
Would you be cool if on the podcast, when we send this out, that I challenge the people that watch the podcast?
You always challenge.
I do like to challenge. And here's my challenge, or here's my offer to the people that are watching. I'll match up to $25,000 for people watching Beyond the Echo. If they call into the Kirk Gibson Foundation and reference that, I will match dollar for dollar up to $25,000. So,
code word match Kevin.
Match Kevin, if that's what you want to call it. But your time is valuable. Would 50 grand be okay for the hour that we're spending today? Get you a step closer.
You know what? I was up at Forest Dunes Golf Course last week, and my buddy Dave Roseman, my brother-in-law, got talking to people. He likes to talk a little bit.
He is a hoot, by the way.
And the next thing I know, they walked over, gave me $877. I said, "What's this?" And they go, "Rosie says we got to donate." So they gave me $877 in cash. I filmed who they are and what this was to be designated for. You people are unbelievable, okay? The spirit that people and vigor that people come running to help their
people in Michigan,
Michigan,
they're
Detroit.
philanthropic. They have good hearts. They want to do the right things. And when they've got someone like you, Kirk, who through your actions, your involvement in the community, your leadership,
I wasn't always a good guy.
You stirred up a little bit of.
I say I'm much better than I used to be, and I'm strive to be better. but I promise you.
You've always been a lot of fun. Even when you weren't such a good guy, you were a lot of fun. And Rosie added to that, I might add.
Everybody. I mean, look at when we won the World Series in Detroit, all the fans were on the field. It was a riot. I got off of there because they were trying to rip my hat off my head. I said, I want that. I'm going to keep that. That's as valuable as the ring. But, you know, when you get on teams with people from all different parts of the country and they want to beat your place of residence down, I always say with Michigan, that when you need some fresh water, who are you going to call?
Yeah.
You know, this is a great state. I was born and raised here. We've raised our kids here. They're going to be here. We have a great natural resources in our state, and we're gonna protect those as well. And we're going to enjoy. Just remember, movement matters.
Movement matters. So again, for you folks that are watching, if you go to the Kirk Gibson Foundation and you make a contribution, and you want to call it what? Match Kevin?
Match Kevin.
If you use Match Kevin, I'll write a check up to $25,000 matching your donations to the Kirk Gibson Foundation. And movement matters. And to have someone like Kirk Gibson lead this charge with Michael Fox and some other people, and Parkinson's is a tough disease because, like you say, a lot of people are embarrassed to have it.
There's a lot that's not appealing about Parkinson's.
Well, being sick isn't appealing, you know.
But you know, I'm no hero. Okay, I feel, you know how I am. I get very humbled. I'm just doing my part.
You're living life.
It feels natural. It's my new normal.
Yeah,
and it might be yours. And if it is, come join us.
Well, you know what? I'm going to do everything I can and continue.
I know you are.
And it's good having you here, Gibby. Thank you so much for spending the time. We didn't cover nearly half of what I wanted to cover, but we covered what was most important, and that's the foundation and your goal to get this opened. And I thank you. I'm looking forward to a few laughs out in North Dakota this year.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, too. We got to get the date down.
Absolutely. I was with Beaker for dinner the other night, and
did he bring the brown dog?
No, the brown dog was in jail.
His dogs, he loves. He takes those dogs everywhere.
Yeah, we're talking about Pat Verbeek, who is also a fellow bird hunter, and he's the general manager of
Little Ball of Hate,
the Anaheim Ducks. The Little Ball of Hate, absolutely.
Everybody's got a nickname.
Yep. Well, thank you for
Thanks,
your
Kevin.
time. Appreciate it. Good to see you, buddy.
Thanks, buddy.
Yep. Thanks, everybody, for listening to this version of Beyond the Echo. I want to remind you to go to the Kirk Gibson Foundation and donate to this worthy cause. They are building a Parkinson Center that is open to people that have this disease. It's free, and movement matters is the theme. I'm going to match up to $25,000 of your donations to the foundation. And again, appreciate you taking the time to listen to Beyond the Echo, and look forward to our next conversation. Have a great one. Thanks for tuning in to Beyond the Echo. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe so you never miss an update. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so drop us a comment and share the podcast with your friends. Stay connected and keep the conversation going by following us on social media. Until next time, keep exploring Beyond the Echo.